Donald P. Schoenheider, having been appointed to the office of acting mayor in the city of Lake Forest, in the county of Lake, state of Illinois, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that you will discharge the duties of said office according to the best of your abilities. If you agree, please respond, I do.
I do.
Congratulations.
All right, Karina, could you call the roll, please?
Acting Mayor Schoenheider.
Here.
Alderman Novit.
Here.
Alderman Waldeck. Here. Alderman Moore.
Here.
Alderman Pandaleon.
Here.
Alderman Tack.
Here.
Alderman Palmer.
Here.
Alderman Adelman.
Here.
8 present, 0 absent. Mr. Acting Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Karina, very much. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda this evening is reports of city officers. Before we get started on the agenda items, I just want to mention if anyone is here this evening relative to the Westwood Square project, that item is not on the agenda this evening and will be on the council agenda on the 19th of February. So if you're here and looking to discuss that topic, it is not on tonight's agenda. You're certainly welcome to stay if you'd like, but it will be on the agenda for the 19th of February. First item on the agenda under comments by Mayor, appoint Jack Reisenberg to fill the unexpired 3rd Ward Alderman seat. I need a motion to do so.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Jack's
Mr. Reisenberg, could you please come forward? I should just mention for the record, too, that we have received, effective today, the resignation of previously 3rd Ward Alderman Don Schoenheider, and from the resignation letter from the Plan Commission from Mr. Reisenberg so that he can step forward. So if you want to come forward and raise your right hand. You, Jack Reisenberg, having been appointed to the office of 3rd Ward Alderman in the city of Lake Forest, in the county of Lake, state of Illinois, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that you will discharge the duties of said office according to the best of your abilities. If you agree, please respond, I do. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bob. Jack, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
You have very small shoes to fill. So. Next item on the agenda this evening is something which I think we're all very delighted to be a part of, which is presentation of a resolution of appreciation for Lake Forest resident Susan Garrett for serving as Illinois State Representative since 1999 and State Senator since 2003. And if I could ask Susan to step up to the podium and we'll, if I may, I'll read the resolution. Resolution of appreciation for State Senator Susan Garrett. Whereas Susan Garrett has represented the 29th District as State Senator in Illinois from 2003 to 2013. And whereas prior to being elected as a State Senator, she was a member of the Illinois House of Representatives, representing the 59th District for 4 years. And whereas Susan Garrett was a valuable and effective representative during the 14 years she served as a steward for the residents of Lake Forest. And whereas Susan Garrett devoted her leadership and talent to advocate for Lake Forest on matters and programs concerning pension reform, securing grant funding, the addition of the popular Sunrise Express Metro train, leading discussions with Amtrak, Northwestern Lake Forest Hospital, IDOT, spearheading the Women in Government City program with Lake Forest College. And whereas Susan Garrett served on numerous city ad hoc committees, including Transportation Safety Enhancement Committee, the 100th anniversary of Lake Forest Day in 2008, the city's 150th anniversary celebration in 2011, the Northwestern Lake Forest Hospital Advisory Group. And whereas despite a hectic schedule locally, in Springfield, and everywhere in between, Susan Garrett remained a loyal and devoted citizen of the city of Lake Forest and a good friend to many, as well as maintaining her role as an exceptional wife and mother. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council that the Council, on behalf of the administration and residents of the community, hereby expresses its appreciation and gratitude to Susan Garrett for a public service faithfully performed. And be it resolved that the City Clerk be and hereby is instructed to deliver a copy of this resolution duly signed by the Mayor this 4th day of February 2013. Susan, congratulations.
Well, thank you. This is quite an honor, and thank you very much for
Hey,
your...
Susan, could you come around so we can get a picture?
Oh,
And also, we do need a motion and a second and approval to make
Move
it
to adopt the resolution. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Come on this side. They gave right here. Take another.
On behalf of all of us, thank you.
can I say a few words?
Absolutely.
First of all, my husband and my children will be delighted to know that I was such a wonderful mother and wife when I was traveling back and forth between Lake Forest and Springfield. But it really has been an honor to serve so many in Lake Forest. Lake Forest has been my hometown for many, many years, and I value so much the input that I receive from constituents, from businesses, from the City Council. Bob has been extremely straightforward in how he expected results on pensions and other things, and he has worked diligently, not only with me, but with other members of the General Assembly. You should know that because he is so well respected. But it was an honor to receive the kind of input that I received. It helped me be responsive to the citizens and helped me, quite frankly, get things done. I really appreciated the way people treated me in my own hometown. The education level here in Lake Forest is not to be compared to any other area in the state. And because of that, people, whether they were Republicans or Democrats, they were able to express their views and share their different perspectives. And because of that, we were able to get a lot done together. So I appreciate that very much. I will miss my role as a representative for Lake Forest at the state level, but I'm very hopeful that I will continue at some level to continue representing you and getting things done. So thank you very much. I'm a little shaky, but I've loved being, a part of the General Assembly and representing you. Thank you.
Susan, thank you very much. You are, we've already pulled you into the Hospital Advisory Board, and I'm sure that won't be the other thing, so we won't let you go too far. So thanks so much. Next item on the agenda is the appointment of Mike Lay as chairman of the Plan Commission. Mike will fill Jack's position as chairman on the Plan Commission, and I need a motion for that, please.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item on agenda under comments by mayor is the swearing in of police officer Stephanie Bong. Could I ask Stephanie to come up? I got the wrong page. Hold on just a moment. Stephanie, would you raise your right hand, please? Repeat after me. I, Stephanie Bong,
I, Stephanie Bong,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the constitutions of the United States and the state of Illinois
the constitutions of the United States and the state of Illinois
and I will diligently enforce the laws
and I will diligently enforce the laws
of the state of Illinois and the city of Lake Forest,
of the state of Illinois and the city of Lake Forest,
and that I will faithfully execute
and that I will faithfully execute
the duties of a police officer
the duties of a police officer
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
Congratulations. And that is it for comments by mayor. Next item on the agenda, comments by city manager. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's my pleasure to welcome back a very familiar face to these chambers, but clearly in a new supporting role to the city of Lake Forest and the residents of Lake Forest, former Mayor Mike Rummel, who is now our representative to the Lake County Board. Mike?
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Council, for letting me appear tonight. I'm here to talk to you about an important part that's going on within the county, which is the strategic plan, and I wanted to, talk a little bit about the changes on the board. There used to be 23 representatives to the Lake County Board, and after the last census, it was cut down to 21 elected county board members. There are 8 elected officials, which are the sheriff and the attorney, the treasurer, the county clerk, clerk of the court, the coroner, the recorder of deeds, and the regional superintendent of schools. There's the 19th Judicial Court, the health department, and then there's 30 other plus departments that have over 2,700 employees. And our annual budget is about $485 million a year, of which we are all taxpayers to it. And Lake Forest is one of the largest taxpayers to the county budget. And what does the county do? Well, 3% of it is the elections that we have, 28% is public works and transportation, 29% is judicial and public safety, 25% is health and community services, 2% is planning, building, and zoning, and 13% is finance and administration. So that's how the county breaks down and what they do with the budget. And we're having a strategic planning meeting, and the strategic planning meeting is doing a number of things. It's giving us a direction of where we are going for the next 5 years. Right now, our strategic goals are to reduce congestion and improve transportation systems in Lake County, to enhance livability and economic opportunities, to promote sustainability in the environment, to build a healthy and resilient community, and to provide public safety. Those are our missions now, and we're looking forward to hearing what the comments from the general public are as to what they want us to go ahead. So there are 5 community forums. They're going to be an open house. We're going to refine the vision and identify priorities and use values for focusing questions and dialogue, and then rank the priorities. So this is an important part for you to have a chance to say what's going on. And then there'll be some online input. You can submit comments and take a survey. And these will all be happening over the next month. And the purpose is to really get an idea of where do you want the county to go, since it is such a large portion of the budget. So the meeting for our area of the community is Wednesday, March 6th. It's at Trinity College, and at Melton Hall. So there is an announcement in the back, and you'll be getting an announcement at home. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew and the residents know that this is an important chance for you to have a say in how the over $500,000 budget we have is in. Our outreach, so please help us get the word out. If you can put the information on the website, attend the community forum, and the flyers are at the back to distribute, it would be really helpful. That's the report I have so far. Of being a month into the job, I'm learning on the job, and have a lot to do with the Forest Reserve. I'm the treasurer of the Forest Reserve and sit on the finance committee for the county. So any questions or anything you ever need from the county, please feel free to let me know. And Lake Forest is uniquely represented by 2 representatives this time. Last time we had 2 representatives as well, but only the southern portion of Lake Forest, about 200 homes, were represented by Ann Betsy in Highland Park. You are represented by most of Lake Forest is in my district, but then the western piece of Lake Forest is in Ann Main's district, and Ann Main is head of the Forest Preserve. She was supposed to be here tonight, but I'm not sure where she is, but she is head of the Forest Preserve, and your other reps, so you have two voices on council. On our council, you have two people advocating for Lake Forest, so just wanted to let you know that change too. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Mike, just want to let you know the Forest Preserve District, they've done a phenomenal job in setting aside lands and parks and bike trails, recreational facilities, preserving open space for future generations to come. Keep it up, buy more land, more bike paths.
Well, thank you. It's a rather interesting challenge we have because our land holdings have doubled over the past 5 years, but our staff as well, city faces the same problem. We can't keep staff up and can't ramp up those trails fast enough for the people who are looking for them. So we've gotten some state help on some underpasses that we're building to connect our trails, and connectivity is a very big thing. Eventually, and hopefully you'll be able to go from Wisconsin to Cook County on our trails, and a contiguous trail, ride a bike, run, walk, whatever you want. So that's the mission we're on. Thank you, though.
Mike, before you leave, do you want to talk about the changes in the staff that are occurring at the Forest Preserve?
I would love to, except everybody's changing. It's not just a change in staff. The second in command of the Forest Preserve has left the Forest Preserve. The head of the Forest Preserve, Tom Hahn, will be leaving in March. The head of the building, Mike, I can't remember Mike's last name, but he will be leaving in April. The head of finance has already left, and we've hired a new financial director. So Lake County Forest Preserve has changed from top to bottom, and there are a number of people at the county level who are also in the management, not Barry, the executive director, but a number of people under him who are also leaving the county to go on to do other things. So there's a lot of change right now, and input is vitally important because as we have that change and as we get new people in, they'll be wanting to know what the public wants done.
Thank you very much.
Did you say that Lake County is losing population?
I am saying that Lake County in this area has lost population, but overall Lake County has not lost population.
And just quick, just appreciate your representing Lake Forest and Lake Forest interests. In my time, I was one of the few people, aside from Bob, that had the pleasure of being alderman while you were mayor. And if you do half the job as a county representative that you did as a mayor, you'll do fantastic. I just appreciate the time you volunteered to the community. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, and I just hope I can do that job for you. That's what I'm trying for. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. That completes my report for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Next item on the agenda, comments by council members. Croya update from Alderman Moore.
First of all, I'd like to thank Bob's office for putting a Croya update once a month, every other meeting. I'd just like to remind people that the big family fundraiser is coming up here Sunday, February 10th. We talked about it last time. We're getting a lot of interest. It's $10 per person, $30 a family. The auction items are worth mentioning, and then that'll end my comments. They include a 1-week stay in a condo in Puerto Vallarta, a 3-day stay in a condo at Hammock Beach, Florida, basketball signed by the entire Bulls team, a football signed by Coach Ditka, a signed Peyton Manning Colts jersey, and there's more. But a lot of good giveaways, or a lot of good auction items for a good cause. And I just want to make sure that if you have any questions about Croya, they're on the web. It's a really good group, and I think it's worth mentioning because, as I've noticed, as my kids get older, they took a while to learn about Croya, and my number 3 is actually very involved now, from learning a little bit from number 1 and 2, and number 4 can't wait. So, but families get familiar and then they get unfamiliar with Croya, and new families need to get involved. So it's a good program.
Great. Thanks very much, David. Any other comments from council members? All right, hearing none, next item is the opportunity for citizens to address the city council on any non-agenda items. Seeing none, we'll move on to the items for omnibus vote consideration. There are 6 of them. However, item number 4 on the agenda will be moved off the omnibus agenda items and taken separately under ordinances once this is done. So I'll go ahead and read these individually, and then we'll vote on them as a group. Item number 1, check register for period dated December 22nd, 2012 to January 25th, 2013. Item number 2, ordinance terminating the West Lake Forest Tax Increment Financing District, declaring surplus revenue in the TIF district and authorizing payment of surplus revenue to the affected taxing districts on a pro rata basis, and an ordinance providing for a supplemental appropriation for FY13 for the TIF fund, and that is final approval. Item number 3, approval of a contract with McGladrey LLP to provide audit services for fiscal years 2013 to 2015 as recommended by the Audit Committee. Item number 4, on our agenda number 5, resolution approving First Amendment to the North Shore Electricity Aggregation Consortium intergovernmental agreement. And item number 6, approval of the January 22nd, 2013 regular City Council minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Second. Roll call vote, please, Corinne.
Acting Mayor Schoenheider,
Aye.
Alderman Novit,
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck,
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon,
Aye.
Alderman Moore,
Aye.
Alderman Tack,
Aye.
Alderman Reisenberg,
Aye.
Alderman Palmer,
Aye.
Alderman Adelman,
Aye.
9 yeas, 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you, Karina, very much. Next item on the agenda, under ordinances, is consideration of an ordinance vacating the right-of-way located between the properties addressed as 1, 41, and 15 Stonegate Road, and the properties addressed as 11 and 33 Stonegate Lane, I'm sorry. And this would be a final approval. We did receive some additional information, and Vic, could you comment on that?
I'd be happy to, Mr. Acting Mayor. The council, as you know, has held first reading and approved first reading of this ordinance, and it was on the consent agenda for tonight. Since the last council meeting, we did receive communication from representatives for the Jacobowskis, who are the easternmost property on the south, who will be receiving under the ordinance, if approved, a portion of the right-of-way, which is the easternmost portion, both the full 10-foot width. Their property is also the one that's currently encumbered by the easement along the beach. I understand that representatives on behalf of the Jacobowskis are here and may wish to speak. In short, I believe that the request is to defer action on this, presumably, and I will allow their representative to speak for themselves about this, but presumably to get some clarity on some of the issues. I would note, at least from my perspective, that for the city, the issue is very straightforward and clear, and that is whether the city wants to continue maintaining its rights to that right-of-way. Under Illinois law, the courts have been very clear, as the statutes also provide, that municipalities can, for a variety of reasons, remove their interest, or withdraw their interest, I should say, from any kind of public rights-of-way. One of the reasons that courts have repeatedly shown is to eliminate the cost, expense, and potential liability for maintenance and otherwise with respect to such properties when those properties are no longer necessary for the public interest. I believe that the recommendation from the PP&L committee was to present this to the council for consideration for vacation, largely in light of the fact that this right-of-way has not been in any kind of common usage for quite a number of years. So that is, in a nutshell, I think, what's before you, and the considerations for the council have been previously discussed, but you may want to offer opportunities for anyone in the public to speak.
Okay, thank you, Vic. Is there anyone here that would like to address this topic? Please come forward. Give us your name and address, if you would.
Good evening. My name is Barry Kessler, and I'm counsel for the Jacobowskis. My address is 2226 Chestnut Street in Northbrook, so I don't have the good fortune to live with you in Lake Forest, but I'm not too far away. The Jacobowskis contacted me approximately a week ago, So I apologize to the body and the alderman and the mayor, because I haven't had a tremendous amount of time in order to really get to the bottom of this, to find out all the implications. Our concerns range essentially from a responsibility to maintain the bluff to a potential liability issue in connection with others that may have a continued right to use that easement. I believe in the proposed ordinance that was presented to you, there was a reservation of rights in adjacent property owners to the easement to continue to use that after the village may have vacated its interest in the easement area. So we've got some concerns in connection with what's going to be the responsibility of the Jakubowskis in connection with anybody that might use that easement area after the village has vacated its rights. We're especially concerned with that because of the nature of the bluff, the way it's situated, as well as the fact that my understanding is, and once again I apologize, I haven't had a chance to walk over there yet, but I understand there's some deterioration in that bluff, and it's going to require some immediate repairs in order to make it safe, as well as to support the Jakubowskis' property. Now, I appreciate that there is a 1906 ordinance that was entered vacating a portion of the street, and I understand that there was also a 1906 agreement in connection with repair and maintenance of the easement area, and the village attorney was courteous enough to send me a copy of that late this afternoon. Once again, I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time looking at that. So really where I'm before you this evening is I'm asking that until we have an opportunity to look at some of these issues, we'd like you to defer final consideration of the ordinance. And one of the reasons, of course, accompanying that is that'll give us an opportunity to meet with and speak with the adjacent property owners that are also going to be impacted by whatever action the village takes. Our final concern, of course, and some of these are just random issues, is we've got a 1906 agreement that speaks to repair and maintenance of this easement area, but that agreement was never recorded at the Recorder of Deeds office. So there is some question as to what the binding nature of an unrecorded agreement is, given that we're now 106 years later and that subsequent owners of the property never received any notice of the existence of that agreement. So I'm not sure that that's even a binding document as to the existing owners of the property. I'm not saying it's a city responsibility. I'm saying I need to look at this a little more carefully before I can make any final statement to this body as to whose rights are at issue. And clearly what we'd like to do is make sure we've had a chance to speak with the other property owners to try to sort it all out, make sure we can amicably agree to how this is going to be treated going forward, because it's in nobody's interest to have any dispute as to what's going to happen. So those are my comments. I'll try to keep them as brief as I could, and we're asking that you defer it, and I'd ask for a 60-day period if that'd be acceptable to this body, only because fortunately or unfortunately I'm going to go on vacation this week, and I haven't had one in 2 years, and if I cancel that, my wife would kill me. So I appreciate
Well, why can't you have these discussions with adjoining landowners after we vacate our interest?
Well, at that point, I think any chance of negotiations, it's already bound. I mean, if I need the city involved in any of the negotiations to assert what the rights may or may not be, I'd rather not have had that ordinance already vacated until I know the impact, whether I'm dealing with a statutory dedication back in the 1800s or a common law dedication. I don't know who is going to own this property after you vacate. And I know that in the proposed ordinance, there's some paragraphs, I think it's around paragraph 5 or 6 if I recall, I mean I can look, but I think there's some clauses in the proposed ordinance that after the vacation, the adjacent property owners are still going to have a right to use that area. I'd prefer that that not be part of an ordinance if that is in fact not a correct statement of law. If this is a common law dedication and the city of Lake Forest vacates its rights in that property, and assuming that the unrecorded document is not binding, then you will have enacted an ordinance which purports to grant rights in people which under the common law they don't have, because the ownership of that property, free and clear of any restriction, would have been turned over to the adjacent property owners. So by taking an action with statements in the body of the ordinance that may or may not be true, I don't want to see a city do that until we've had a chance to at least look at it, and I can have an opportunity to confer a little bit with the village attorney as to the legal implications. So that's why I'm asking for a deferral as opposed to voting on the ordinance at this time.
Vic, do you have any recommendation one way or the other?
Well, on the issue as was already discussed by the council, there's nothing that would preclude the various residents, and you heard comments about this at your last meeting, have various residents reach some common accord as to how to handle the future maintenance and use of that easement independent of what the city does. With all due respect to Mr. Kessler, I believe that Illinois law is pretty clear that it's not the city's vacation that necessarily establishes any access rights for any adjoining properties. Rather, it's the plat itself that set forth the existence of the right-of-way that gave those rights to any of the property owners. The city is not granting anybody's rights. The city is merely acknowledging the pre-existing rights under the plats. That was done back in the 1860s. So nothing that you're going to do with this ordinance is going to affect those rights. And I think that the law in Illinois is pretty clear about that. And it's irrelevant as to the underlying rights of the properties within the subdivision, what their remainder rights would be upon vacation by the city. Statutory or common law merely defines what the city's rights are, not what the underlying property owner's rights are. If Mr. Kessler has other authority, I'd be interested in seeing it, but I will note that I have litigated this issue on several occasions successfully in each instance, and the law on that has never been varied from what I've just described to you in terms of the remainder rights of the property owners within a subdivision. So I guess some substance of what I was just saying is that whether you defer or whether you take action now, it won't affect a whit what the various owners in that area are going to have as their ultimate responsibilities, assuming the council is inclined to vacate.
Am I correct that as long as we remain in title, we can be sued for the condition of the property?
That's correct. And again, as I mentioned in my prior comment, is one of the recognized bases for vacating property is not merely that it has no longer a function of the public, but also to relieve the public generally of any such liability. And upon vacation, we do so on an as-is condition.
And can that be done after a lawsuit is filed?
If a lawsuit's been filed, then we can get rid of future liability, but we would be responsible, assuming that we were the owner at the time of the accident, we would be responsible for any potential liability at that time.
That's always been my understanding too. The provision in our draft ordinance that you referred to doesn't create a right that doesn't already exist under the 1800 and something plat of subdivision. We were just reaffirming it or acknowledging it, as Vince said. In fact, some of the points that you stated about not passing this now so that we possibly get drawn into the vortex of negotiations between the neighbors is all the more reason why I want to pass it and not get sucked into that vortex, so to speak. Anything you have to discuss with the neighbors can be done independent of any action we take here tonight. That's my personal feeling.
Any other comments or questions, either for Vic or Mr. Kessler?
I move for final approval of the ordinance.
Do I have a second?
I would second that.
Do we need a roll call on this?
We require a 3/4 vote, so 6 ayes would be required to pass it.
And Don doesn't vote, right?
Only if necessary.
Alderman Novit,
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck,
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon,
Aye.
Alderman Moore,
Aye.
Alderman Tack,
Aye.
Alderman Reisenberg,
Aye.
Alderman Palmer,
Aye.
Alderman Adelman,
Aye.
8 yeas, no nays, the motion carries.
Thank you, Karina, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business. Any new business to come before the council? Bob?
Actually, just one matter, Mr. Acting Mayor, members of the council. I was negligent in mentioning under my first report I sent out
an email, I think last week, indicating that the city was a recipient of an ITIP grant for renovation, Phase 2 renovation of the downtown train station. I have to be really honest. We're going to come back to you at the February 19th meeting and tell you exactly what that means, because we're still finishing work from the first ITEP grant, and now we have the second ITEP grant. But in total, we've received now about $2 million to fix up the train station. In addition to that, we also have another grant with respect to the bike path and the improvement there. So there's a lot of activity that's going to take place, and what we want to do is come back and make a comprehensive presentation to you. But it's all good news. But there's going to be a lot of moving parts with respect to the train station this year. We also want to make sure that in the course of the summer activity that Alderman Novit can still get his pie from the farmer's market. So there's a lot going on.
Thank you.
I think $1 grand or so a month, Bob, is about the right level, so that'd be great. Any other new business? Additional items for council discussion? Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Do all this. Good job. Pretty.